episode 27 of Move by Move series, where I play 10-minute rapid games and explain you my thinking process during it. Let's find our opponent for today's video. As you might see, we're sitting at 2297. We started this whole series by being maybe at 2240, 2220 maybe, and that's where we are right now. Of course, we're playing above this level, but we still gotta prove it game by game. Okay, knight f6, we're going to most likely... Alright, he goes just 6. And now I recently discussed how solid setups might be here for black against Berg, and I'll probably go for it. I'll go knight to 2. The idea of this move is to play g3, bishop goes to g2, and I'm simply trying to play very solid chess. Goes c6, let's go a4, trying to avoid b5 from happening, and if a6 is gonna be played at some point, we'll go a5 and block the whole queen side. Let's go castle. Now e5, I'll simply play h3, king h2, and at some point f4 is what's gonna be played, or maybe h3, g4, and try to advance on the king side. We're sitting at 2297. If we win this game, we finally cross 2300. That will be a huge milestone. After all, I believe we should be sitting at 2400, but you know, it's very complicated. We only played 27 games. It's the 27th episode, 1 game per each episode, and it's an exciting journey. I'm not playing rapid besides this series, so you're getting this exclusively on YouTube. Bishop e3. My idea right now is to go queen d2 and maybe offer him a bishop trade by playing bishop h6, and that's quite a typical idea for main lines and Berg defense. His idea, meanwhile, might be to play knight b6 next move and go knight c4 and try to chase this bishop down. He goes e5. That's not a bad move, but now I'll probably play king h2. Queen d2 is possible, but I'll play slowly king h2. I will also protect h3 pawn potentially from any troubles, because this bishop might get very dangerous. E takes d4, I go knight takes d4. Shouldn't be a lot of troubles. Potentially, if he takes on d4, he might have some problems with d6 pawn in the near future. He goes rook e8, and now I'm really thinking of going f4. It looks exciting, it looks dangerous, so probably queen d2 is what I'm gonna play. E takes d4, knight d4, knight c5. f3 is something that I don't want to play, but it looks like I'll have to do it. And then we'll see. This bishop is still not developed, so he has some problems developing it, while all my pieces, as you might actually see, very solid setup for white. Black still need to deal with some problems. He might go e takes d4, knight d4, and then knight e5, trying to fork bishop and queen. So knight f5, knight c4, he goes b6. I don't think this is a good move. Now I seriously think of f4 and what it might bring to the action. The only thing I'm worried right now is after he takes d4, I'll probably have to take with this bishop just to avoid knight c5, because if I take on d4 with my knight, he goes knight c5, but I still think I might have even knight c6, but I might have e5, d takes e5, and knight c6, and then knight goes to b5 as well. So there are, both sides have some problems, in my opinion, and it's gonna be very exciting to play on. F takes e5, I go rook e1. I still wanna go for rook e1 instead, not rook f2, because after rook e1, my idea is that after e takes e4, I'll actually take. I didn't expect bishop e2. Now I have 2 bishops. E takes d4, bishop d4. I wanna maybe even bring my second rook to the action, maybe play d5 next move, so I can get either d5 or b5 square. His b6 pawn will be a trouble. F takes c5, d takes c5, d5 might be quite unpleasant for black as well. I'm up on time, I'm slightly better on time. Bishop f4, trying to get the pawn, he goes knight h5, very logical decision. Now e5 takes knight e5. Let's go rook f1, and after knight f4 I'll play queen f4, attacking the pawn on f7. Knight f4, I might also consider going she takes f4 and e5 on the very next move. Very, very exciting game awaits and ahead of us. Queen f4, rook e7, and I'm just trying to see how I can continue the action. While after g takes f4 and e5, I don't really need to do anything. The game just plays itself in the center. I go e5, d takes e5, d takes e5. The only move right now is rook d8 that I kind of dislike for me, because after e5, if takes, there is knight e5 in the end of the line. But after rook d8, I believe I might have some d5 maneuver, because after c5, I can go knight b5 and c3, and he has a bunch of problems. If bishop c3, I can take. If knight c5, I probably can take. And if queen c6, I have some e5 attacking the queen. Bro thinks he's Hikaru, but bro is definitely not Hikaru. Let's see. He's thinking, that's good, he's spending time. I really want to hit 2300 in this episode. It is episode 27 once again. It's crazy. Then we'll go over opening after the game is played. So it's gonna be exciting. I believe I misplayed it a lot early on. Because, yeah, this setup actually was... Yeah, he goes this way, and now maybe d5 is something that I should play, because after bishop c3, queen c3, I'll be attacking this pawn on c6 and c5. I don't really like it. If knight f6 in the future will be played, it's really hard to do anything. And the idea is, of course, d takes c6, queen c6, and I have beautiful d5 square. If bishop goes to b2, I might play c3, blocking this bishop. Even if bishop goes to a3, I have e5 ideas, knight f6 ideas. It's gonna be interesting. Once again, c takes e5, knight e5, I'm probably a lot better. What else he can do? c5, once again, I go knight b5 and I go c3. My knight on b5 is very, very annoying. At least it should be for black pieces. Other than that, he's getting very low on time, and this might get him into a lot of trouble later in the game, and if he continues spending this much time. Because look at me. Yes, I'm spending less time, I'm playing worse moves, but I believe time really matters in Rapid as well, and he's just spending too much of it. Very, very interesting. He joined in 2010, and 2272 is a solid rating. But let's see what he's going to do here. And he's thinking a lot. There is a lot to think about, but I think at this point the position is around equal. And once again, there are different things. And as I said, c takes d5 is probably not the way to go, because after this and c3, I have a very huge advantage. Due to my beautiful located knight on d5 square, potentially I might start pawn minority attack on the queen side by playing b4 and maybe even take and then go something along queen b2, queen b5. But I don't think it will be necessary. Knight c5, I go queen c2. Everything will be under control. f5 is not played on the board because I can't even do it. Yeah, goes knight c5, I go queen c2, and once again, pawn minority attack by playing b4 will be huge here, because he can't really do much. B takes b4, a takes b4, c takes b4, knight c6, trying to fork me on d4. Yes, that's a possibility, but of course I don't have to plunder this fork. I might go rook to e1 and knight d4, queen d3. That's going to be still very good position for white, and eventually I want to create a pass pawn, and we have the same color as this bishop, so it's a huge opportunity for white pieces. And once again, he is spending, I'll repeat it again, Because once we get, you know, to lower and lower time, it will be more and more difficult for him to play on and to stay alive. Takes, and knight will have to go. If knight a6 is played, I go queen b3, and his knight doesn't have a lot of good moves. Knight c7, I go maybe even back. Knight d7. Now I have huge advantage. I believe rook c1 is something that I definitely should play, and as I said before, we have the same bishop as this a8 square, and a5, a6, a7 will come, and it will be disastrous for black. I have a huge advantage. I should have a huge advantage. e5 is something that I have to calculate a lot right now. Knight c7 is another option that I should count. F5 as well looks really promising. Knight f6 and a5 looks good. a5 immediately looks good, but let's play knight f6 and a5 takes. And I believe I should have a really good advantage. Maybe not, maybe ideally bishop d4, bishop a7, and he is still holding this game. Yeah, should have done something different. But it's just he's down to last 2 minutes of his time. I'm not spending any time right now. And I kind of found it interesting, like I recently heard it somewhere, people are getting too comfortable when they have a lot of time. And this is exactly the case of it, because he is clearly has, and he's very comfortable with the time he has. And it's very tough to play on right now. Let's go rook f1. Trying to protect this pawn. We gotta hold up to this pawn as well. Goes this now, maybe f5, d5, e5. Yes. Trying to attack this rook, rook f5. I'll just take. So this is now not an attack necessarily, because I'll have to move my. Yes. So queen goes to. Ooh. You know what? This position is getting some spice. Takes. Oof. Wait. Let me calculate this. Let me quickly calculate this. Queen d3, bishop e3, takes. a7. Or should I go rook a1? Now I have to calculate, because I have no choice. King d3, bishop e3. Ay. Oi. Takes. This should be winning anyways. I'm not sure if he will find this move. But I might just take and go this way. And the problem is a7, a8 is coming real hot. And he can't really protect. He might go queen b2 though in the end of the line. It's not that easy. I allowed him to do this. And now I'm the one who is getting in a lot of trouble. Let's go king h1, because after queen f5, I believe I have a7, a8 will be up in exchange. I might, yeah, a7, and I might go rook e3 next move. He has 50 seconds left. I've done a lot of things wrong in this game. And potentially I should have lost it as well, because I think my position might be losing right now, even though it looks like I'll be up material in a second. But this bishop on e3 is annoying. This queen is very active, so it's not a position that I should be proud of. Yeah, now this pawn is under huge attack. You know what's the problem is? I think I might have rook e3. And now after d takes e3, I go... Oh, but he decided not to go for it. But now rook f3 and I'm up piece. And I should be able to win this one. Unless he trades everything off the board, because this square is opposite of this bishop, so it is a potential problem. Queen f4. But I believe I have enough pieces, I have enough time, I should end up winning this chess game. And I go rook g3. I go rook g5, h4. Trying, of course, to take this pawn on g5. This queen cannot touch my rook because bishop takes f1. Goes this way, h takes g5. Rook goes to g5. And now we go maybe rook e1. He has no time. But this might be even losing right now after rook h6. King h1. King b6, king f1. Yes, it is a win. Now let's get to analysis, because this is where I think it will be very interesting to watch. 23:04, by the way. Let's go. Yeah, the position is around equal actually. So let's get to the analysis. It's gonna be exciting. Honestly, as I predicted, I played a terrible game. I was never a lot worse, but I had a lot of troubles. We both played 2200 level. But now let's quickly look at the game. So, as I said, quite solid setup. I didn't play it well. I know I played terrible, but that's where we will look at it. c6, a4. Once again, my idea was to avoid b5, knight d7, castle, a5, pawn goes to h3, queen c7, bishop e3, and now pawn went to e5. King h2. So, king h2 was basically to make a move, and I want to show you a gameplay between grandmasters, not actually. So the person playing with black pieces was the guy rated with 2008, and with white pieces was playing Roman Ovechkin, grandmaster from Russia, Tyumeny. I actually played a classical game against him back in Chelyabinsk. I'm not sure when exactly was it. I guess it was 2020 or 2019. I lost with white pieces. I played London system against a gem and paid for it. So, but in this game, Roman Ovechkin was playing with white pieces. His opponent played h6. He went for king d2, attacking the pawn on h6. His opponent played king h7, f4, and now he's going for attack. e5, g4, knight b6. Again, typical idea to get knight to c4. That's what I discussed during my game. b3, rook d8, rook d1, takes, and now c5. Bishop f2, and here can you find the best move for white pieces? Queen e7 was a serious blunder, and after next move, black immediately resigned. So generally, c5 is a terrible move. c5 here not only weakens b5, d5, it generally weakens d6 pawn, because now d5 is not movable at any point. It could be movable, but now just a lot of pressure on this d5 square alone, so it's very hard, and like d5 might be possible with pawn on c6, but after c5, there's just a bunch of holes on d5, on b5, and after bishop f2, queen e7, you probably found it, bishop c5, and immediately resignation followed. This knight is under attack, pawn on d6 will be taken, then white go e5, protecting the bishop. This is a whole collapse. Now let's get to the game here. e5, king h2, so according to computer I should have played g4. That is one of the ideas, general ideas of this setup. You go h3, you go g4, and maybe even f4 in the future. Rook e8, queen d2, b6. I didn't like this move, and I was discussing something on d5, but I didn't play it. But d5 was actually best. f4, bishop a6, rook e1, bishop takes, rook e2, e takes f4, bishop f4. Bishop f4 was a mistake. So the question is, you might be asking, why I didn't play g takes f4 with the idea of going e5. Honestly, I thought that this whole setup might be bad in near future, because this queen is on c7, potentially, you know, x-train. My king on h2 might be dangerous, but computer doesn't see anything, and I should have gone for g takes f4. Bishop f4 doesn't work clearly because of the move he played in the game, which is knight h5, attacking my bishop immediately. I go rook f1, bishop h6 here was an option, once again, could do it, didn't do it. Rook f1, knight f4, g takes f4. Now I go g takes f4 because I have no choice. If I go queen f4, I just didn't like it. Computer even says bishop d4 is now best, even though I calculated simple rook e7 and I didn't like my position. But bishop d4 makes things look absolutely insane, because he allowed this capture on f7 and after king h8, it turns out that white have absolutely nothing, and you should not be scared to give up this pawn on f7. G takes f4, rook d8, d5. Again, probably best c takes d5, knight d5, and at this point I was like, this gotta be better for white pieces. It should be better. Knight goes to c5. Now queen goes to c2, protecting a4, e4. At this point I was thinking, I have knight on d5, probably our position is around equal, but he was getting very low on time. Rook e6, I go b4 and trying to create passed pawn on a file so I can actually support it with my bishop on g2. Knight d7, rook c1, trying to trade queens of the board, should have gone for f5. Why I didn't go for f5 is because I really was scared for my e5 square, even though maybe I shouldn't have. Rook c1, knight f6, takes, now a5 takes, and position is still equal. a6 was a serious mistake because d5 could have been played, bishop h6, rook f1, rook f6, and now I went for f5, allowing this d5, and e5 is forced, d4. I had queen a2 here, which was winning. Looks like it's winning by force. d3, a7, I'm about to promote. If d takes a2, I go a takes b8 queen, e takes f1, probably knight, because if takes I go king d8 and it's completely winning. I take on f6 as well, or I can just simply, bishop f8 and bishop f1, I just take everything. So, and takes doesn't really matter because after takes, rook b8, I go e takes f6, and the position is still completely lost. If bishop was on c1, they could have gone for rook b2, but it wasn't possible on the board. And rook e3. This is the move I considered, and this move doesn't lose advantage at all as of right now. Bishop e3, I go king h1, again not best. Computer again thinks that rook a2 and a7 is just good enough to win the game. King h1, not bad, a7, and after queen a5 it is actually a draw. And it is only a draw because I have brilliant rook a3, but he didn't have enough time to calculate that after d takes a3, I have to take on d8. I also plan to go queen f3, but apparently I'm just worse after rook a6. And I should have done queen d8, takes, a8, takes, bishop a8, and after rook f5, it is a draw simply because it is a fortress. This rook will not move from a file, just can move back and forth, or bring the rook to the 7th rank just to protect f7 pawn. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing white could do. It is a simple draw. Rook e f3, g5, and now white are completely winning. h4, takes, rook g5. Once again, I allowed too much. Should have gone for rook h5. Didn't go for it. Once again, my fault. King g1, and here it is still around equal because after queen a7 I would have gone for king f1. I'm no longer threatening checkmate, so d2 is possible. Rook d1, rook d4, and it's getting very messy here because two rooks, black might even have a chance to win if white are careless. But I was up on time and it ended up winning this chess game. 23:04. Finally, this happened. This is the highest rapid rating I've had, I think, in 2 years. In the last 2 years, I haven't been playing it much. Again, as I said, exclusively for this Europe series. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next move by move episode. Have a great day. Bye bye.